everyone, welcome to your own YouTube channel Shantanu's Bioprep Life Science. Today we are going to discuss regulation of glycolysis pathway in detail. In the previous lecture we have discussed the 10 steps of glycolysis in detail along with chemical structures. We know that there are 3 irreversible or regulatory steps in glycolysis. The enzymes which catalyzes these 3 irreversible or regulatory steps are mainly involved in the regulation of glycolysis pathway, which will determine the rate of glycolysis. Okay, these irreversible steps are regulatory steps, and they are known as irreversible because the change in free energy for these reactions are large negative, due to which the chemical reaction will proceed in forward direction and not in backward direction. We have discussed this in detail in first lecture, that is introduction to metabolism also, and in previous lecture, that is glycolysis video also. Okay, so starting with the regulation of glycolysis, we will understand allosteric control and hormonal control of these 3 enzymes. Okay, also we need to understand that enzymes which are responsible or which takes part in the regulation are mainly allosteric enzymes. Okay, we know that the enzyme here is enzyme catalyzing the conversion of glucose into glucose 6-phosphate is hexokinase and glucokinase. Glucokinase, in the last video we have discussed that it is present in the liver. Okay, hexokinase is present in other tissues. Now when the concentration of glucose in the body will increase, it will stimulate the activation of hexokinase. Okay, because that's what we want. Okay, if the levels of blood glucose level increase, it will bind with the hexokinase, and when the hexokinase will get active, it will convert the glucose into glucose 6-phosphate. When the levels of glucose 6-phosphate in the blood increase, it will inhibit the hexokinase. So why this is happening is because when the levels of glucose 6-phosphate in the blood will increase, it will send the signal to hexokinase that I am present in already high amount. You need to catalyze the rest of the glycolysis first, and then when there is actually a requirement, we will deal with the remaining glucose. So glucose 6-phosphate is sending the signal to hexokinase that stop the conversion of glucose to glucose 6-phosphate, because glucose 6-phosphate is already in high amount right now. Okay, so it will inhibit the hexokinase enzyme. This glucose can also enter in the liver and stimulates the glucokinase enzyme. This glucokinase enzyme will come out of liver. This activated glucokinase will catalyze the conversion of glucose into glucose 6-phosphate. Then the remaining steps will occur, that is glucose 6-phosphate to fructose 6-phosphate. Likewise, when fructose 6-phosphate concentration in the body increases in high amount, fructose 6-phosphate will inhibit glucokinase. Fructose 6-phosphate will also send the same signal to glucokinase that I am present in high amount or high concentration right now. Okay, let us complete the glycolysis pathway first, and when there is actually a need of energy or ATP, we will continue with glucose. We will continue the oxidation of glucose. But now there is no need because fructose 6-phosphate is already present in high concentration. it will inhibit glucokinase. Once it is inhibited, it will again enter liver. Okay, because the place of glucokinase is in liver. This was allosteric regulation of hexokinase enzyme. Now let us understand hormonal regulation of hexokinase and glucokinase. Okay. Before understanding that, we will understand two important points. When the blood glucose levels are low, glucagon is secreted. Glucagon is secreted. Role of glucagon is to increase the blood glucose levels. Okay, role of glucagon is to increase the blood glucose levels. This glucagon, because of this glucagon, this hexokinase will get inhibited and this glucokinase will get inhibited. If hexokinase and glucokinase gets inhibited, glycolysis will not occur, and that is what we wanted. Okay, that is what we want. Okay, because the blood glucose levels are already low, and if we stimulate the activation of glycolysis pathway, glucose will get degraded or it will get used up, which we don't want because the blood glucose levels are already low. So glucagon will inhibit hexokinase and glucokinase enzyme, due to which glucose will not get used up. The levels of glucose will be conserved. Okay, it will be regulated, due to which there will be no glycolysis and blood glucose levels will rise. Now let us understand the second case, that is when the blood glucose level will increase or when they are present in high amount. They will activate hexokinase and glucokinase enzyme. Okay, how? When the blood glucose levels will be high, insulin will be secreted. The role of insulin is to suppress the elevated blood glucose levels. This insulin will activate hexokinase. Insulin will also activate glucokinase, due to which glucose will get converted into glucose 6-phosphate, or glucose, the oxidation of glucose will occur, or the utilization of glucose will occur, or the consumption of glucose will occur, due to which the blood glucose levels will start to reduce, and that is what we want, because the blood glucose levels are already high. We need to promote the glycolysis pathway. So when the glycolysis pathway will get active, glucose will get activated, glucose will be oxidized or degraded, and by this process the elevated blood glucose level will start to decrease. So this was the allosteric and hormonal control of hexokinase and glucokinase enzyme. Okay, now we will understand the allosteric control and hormonal control of phosphofructokinase 1 enzyme. So this topic is given in very complicated way in almost all reference books. I am trying my best to explain it in most easy way. So this step we know is catalyzed by phosphofructokinase 1 enzyme, PFK1. This is also an allosteric enzyme. If the ATP levels in the body are high, it will inhibit PFK1 enzyme. Why? Because the ATP levels are already high. We don't need to make excess ATP via glycolysis pathway, because we know that via glycolysis pathway 8 ATPs are produced. So rather than wasting the ATPs, body will try to save the glucose, and it will try to oxidize this only when there is really a need for the body of energy. Okay, so since there is enough ATP right now, it will inhibit the PFK1. This step will not occur, glycolysis will not occur. Okay. Similarly, ADP will activate PFK1 enzyme. We know that hydrolysis of ATP will be into ADP plus inorganic phosphate. Here the ATP levels are not high. Here ADP levels are high, which is not good, because for energy we need to rise ATP level and not ADP levels. But when ADP levels will be in higher concentration or higher amount, it will activate PFK1 so that glycolysis will occur, pyruvate oxidation will occur, acetyl coenzyme A will enter into Krebs cycle, okay, and ATPs can be produced. Okay, so this was the logic. Now citrate also inhibit PFK1 enzyme. Citrate is in Krebs cycle. We know that as compared to glycolysis, Krebs cycle produces more ATP. So when citrate will be in higher concentration, there will be ultimately formation of more ATPs. So there is no need of excess 8 ATPs right now. So again body will try to save this glucose, and it will start the oxidation of glucose only when there is really a need of energy in the body. Okay. So ATP and citrate, the concept of ATP and citrate inhibiting PFK1 is same. Okay. Low pH also inhibit PFK1. High pH will activate PFK1. It will activate it. And fructose 2,6-bisphosphate will activate PFK1. Now you will have one question: fructose 2,6-bisphosphate, how is it getting formed? Okay. So there is an enzyme known as PFK2. It is a bifunctional enzyme having two activities, kinase and phosphatase. It has two domains, kinase domain and phosphatase domain. Okay. Now we will understand how fructose 2,6-bisphosphate is formed. This fructose 6-phosphate, some of the fructose 6-phosphate will be catalyzed by PFK2 and not PFK1. Kinase activity or kinase domain, and this fructose 6-phosphate will be converted into fructose 2,6-bisphosphate. And this fructose 2,6-bisphosphate is an allosteric activator of this PFK1 enzyme. Okay. This fructose 2,6-bisphosphate, fructose 2,6-bisphosphate, under the presence of one thing I forgot to tell. For this, one ATP will be utilized. For the above step, one ATP will be utilized. Okay. Transfer of phosphate group by this PFK2. This phosphate group will be transferred to fructose 6-phosphate to form fructose 2,6-bisphosphate. Okay. Fructose 2,6-bisphosphate, by under the presence of PFK2 phosphatase domain, it will form fructose 6-phosphate. Okay. This was the allosteric control of PFK1 enzyme. There is one more point you need to know. If a question is asked which of the following is the most important regulatory step in glycolysis, the answer will be fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6-phosphate, 1,6-bisphosphate, and the most important regulatory enzyme in the regulation of glycolysis is phosphofructokinase 1. You will take this answer as the correct option and not hexokinase, glucokinase and pyruvate kinase. PFK1 is the most important regulatory step in glycolysis, and this step is the most important regulatory step in glycolysis. Now we will understand hormonal control of PFK1. So let me drop PFK2 enzyme PFK2. Okay. Case 1, when the blood glucose levels are low, what will be secreted? Obviously glucagon. What should be the ultimate goal? To inhibit glycolysis, so that the level of glucose will not get used up in the glycolysis, and which we don't want, because we need to save the glucose levels, because the blood glucose levels are already low. So we need to save glucose, we need to prevent glucose from entering the glycolysis pathway. So the end product or end goal should be no glycolysis, so that the glucose levels will be saved from entering into glycolysis, due to which blood glucose levels will start to rise. Okay. Now the point is, how does the glucagon inhibit glycolysis? This glucagon will cause the phosphorylation of kinase domain and phosphorylation of phosphatase domain. Okay. Glucagon will cause the phosphorylation of kinase and phosphatase domain. Due to this phosphorylation, kinase domain will be inhibited and phosphatase domain will be activated. Okay. Now, if the phosphatase domain is active, it will convert fructose 2,6-bisphosphate into fructose 6-phosphate, but there is no use of fructose 6-phosphate, because PFK1 is activated by fructose 2,6-bisphosphate, but here the degradation of fructose 2,6-bisphosphate is taking place, which is not good. Okay. Catalyzed by phosphatase domain of PFK2. So PFK1 will be inactive, due to which glycolysis will not occur, due to which blood glucose levels will rise, which is what we want when the blood glucose levels are low. Now we will understand case 2, that is when blood glucose levels in the body is high. In this case, we know insulin will be secreted, because the role of insulin is to reduce the blood glucose levels. The role of insulin is to reduce the elevated blood glucose levels. So in this case, we need glycolysis to occur. When the blood glucose levels are already high and if the glycolysis occur, glucose will be degraded or glucose will be oxidized, glucose will be utilized or glucose will be consumed. Okay, and this is the best thing. Okay, because the blood glucose levels are already high and we need it to be reduced or to decrease. So glycolysis should occur, due to which blood glucose levels will decrease. Now, how does the insulin inhibit glycolysis? Insulin is playing opposite role of glucagon. It will cause dephosphorylation of kinase and phosphatase domain. It is removing the phosphate group from kinase and phosphatase domain, due to which kinase domain will be active in dephosphorylated state and phosphatase domain will be inactive in dephosphorylated state. If kinase is active, we know that fructose 6-phosphate in the presence of PFK2 kinase domain, it will get converted into fructose 2,6 bisphosphate. Fructose 2,6 bisphosphate, which is a good thing, because fructose 2,6 bisphosphate is an allosteric activator of PFK1 enzyme, due to which PFK1 enzyme will catalyze the conversion of fructose 6-phosphate to fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. Further steps of glycolysis will occur, and that is what we want, because we need to decrease the elevated blood glucose levels, and it is possible only when glycolysis pathway will occur. Okay, this was the allosteric and hormonal control of PFK1 enzyme. Okay, now we will understand the allosteric and hormonal control of pyruvate kinase enzyme. Okay, so we will study this step now. Enzyme catalyzing the conversion of phosphoenol pyruvate to pyruvate is pyruvate kinase. Okay, now if the levels of ATP in the body increase, it will inhibit pyruvate kinase. Same logic as we have discussed in phosphofructokinase 1 regulation, because if the ATP levels are already in sufficient amount, we don't need to waste the glucose in glycolysis pathway to synthesize or to form excess 8 ATPs, because ATPs are already present in high amount. So body will try to save this glucose, and it will only activate the glycolysis pathway when there is really a need in the body of energy. Okay, similarly acetyl coenzyme A also inhibit pyruvate kinase. Acetyl coenzyme A will enter Krebs cycle, and we know that as compared to glycolysis, Krebs cycle will form more ATPs. If acetyl coenzyme A is present in high amount, it is already going to result in the formation of more ATPs. So there is no need of glycolysis. Okay, there is no need of glycolysis if there is high concentration of acetyl coenzyme A. If the alanine levels in the body increase, it will also inhibit pyruvate kinase. How? This alanine is formed from pyruvate. Pyruvate is converted into alanine by transamination reaction. We need to understand only transamination reaction term right now. We don't need to go in much depth. Okay. So this pyruvate is indirectly sending a signal to pyruvate kinase by the formation of alanine that the levels of pyruvate is already in high amount. Then let the pyruvate undergo pyruvate oxidation, then the acetyl coenzyme A will enter Krebs cycle, and then ATP formation will occur. Okay. So if pyruvate is present in higher concentration, it is sending indirect signal to pyruvate kinase that there is now no need of glycolysis pathway. Okay, and this signal, it is indirectly sending the signal to pyruvate kinase by formation of alanine. Okay. AMP, adenosine monophosphate, will it will activate pyruvate kinase. We know that ATP, when hydrolyzed into AMP, pyrophosphate is released. If AMP is present in high concentration, not ATP, okay, AMP, then the body is already in energy deficient condition and the body needs to synthesize ATP. Okay, AMP will activate pyruvate kinase, phosphoenol will be converted into pyruvate, pyruvate oxidation will occur, acetyl coenzyme A will enter into Krebs cycle, ATPs will be formed. Okay. This was the allosteric regulation. There is one more thing which activates pyruvate kinase. It is fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. Fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. Now you would ask how this is possible. There is a simple reason behind it. If fructose 1,6 bisphosphate molecules accumulate, it will send signal to pyruvate kinase that we are in huge amount and we are coming. Okay, we are coming for you. So please be ready to catalyze all of us. Okay. This regulation is known as feed forward regulation. The accumulation of fructose 1,6 bisphosphate will send a signal to pyruvate kinase that we are in huge amount and please be ready because you have to do much work now. Okay, you need to catalyze everything. Okay, you need to form pyruvate. This regulation is known as feed forward regulation. So this was about allosteric regulation of pyruvate kinase. Now let us understand hormonal regulation or hormonal control of pyruvate kinase. Case 1, when the blood glucose levels are low. Blood glucose levels low. We know that glucagon will be secreted. The role of glucagon is to increase the low blood glucose levels in the body. What should be the main goal of glucagon? To inhibit glycolysis so that glucose will not get degraded or consumed or utilized because blood glucose levels are already low. So there should be inhibition of glycolysis, and when this will occur, the blood glucose level will start to rise. Okay, how does the glucagon increase, or how does the glucagon inhibit glycolysis? Okay, so if this is glucagon, what it will do, it will cause phosphorylation of pyruvate kinase. It will cause phosphorylation of pyruvate kinase enzyme. In the phosphorylated state, pyruvate kinase is inactive. This you need to understand. If the pyruvate kinase will be inactive, this step will not occur, okay, which means glycolysis is inhibited, which means glucose levels or glucose will not be used up in the glycolysis pathway, and hence blood glucose level will slowly start to rise. Okay, now let us look at second case when blood glucose levels are in the body are high. We know that when the blood glucose level increase, insulin is secreted, and the role of insulin is to suppress or is to reduce the elevated blood glucose levels. So our main goal should be to promote or to stimulate the glycolysis pathway so that the elevated blood glucose levels can be oxidized, can be consumed, can be utilized, so that the blood glucose levels or the elevated blood glucose level will start to decrease, because we need to decrease now. They are already in high level. Okay, how does the insulin inhibit glycolysis? Insulin will cause dephosphorylation of pyruvate kinase enzyme, means it will remove phosphate group from pyruvate kinase. In the dephosphorylated state, pyruvate kinase is in active form. When the pyruvate kinase will be in active form, glycolysis steps will occur, which is what we want, because when the glycolysis will occur, the elevated blood glucose levels will be used up in the glycolysis, or will be consumed or will be utilized in the glycolysis, and by that the blood glucose level will slowly start to decrease. Okay, so this was about allosteric and hormonal control of pyruvate kinase enzyme. If still you are having doubt in understanding this topic, you can play the video lecture again. Okay, you will understand everything. I have tried my best to explain this in much easy manner. Okay, in the next video we will discuss rest of the things. Now you will be able to solve any question from glycolysis and regulation of glycolysis. Okay, if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also don't forget to press the bell icon so that you won't miss any notification when my next video will get uploaded. Okay, see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.